You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Kyle Fleischman. The iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me tonight, Chewy Side 55, Carlos Fonseca, Jeff Walton, Brad Miller, and special guest Nolan Scott. Welcome, guys.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to start with you tonight, Nolan, and the normal interview process here. When did you start on iRacing, and how did you hear about it?
Well, I came from Live for Speed, drove for a team called Core Racing there, and we had the opportunity, a lot of us, to come on as beta testers in 2008, 2009 through that transition. So we came on as beta testers and, been here ever since. A long time.
All right. How often do you race?
I think, for the most part, usually just once or twice a week. I tend to run, the Class A series. I tend to run NIS, but as of right now, as we get a little bit closer to DWC, just kind of focusing on the Pro Series and the Drivers World Championship, or now I should call it WCS. But particularly those two series right now, and like I said, about once or twice a week.
All right. And you just covered what series you normally run. What type of wheel, pedals, hardware are you using?
Pretty old school. I've got a G25 wheelbase and shifter. I have upgraded the pedals. I'm using Club Sport V3s with the standard PU foam inside. Outside of that, that's pretty plain Jane for me.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Except for them V3s.
Those V3s, yeah, that makes a difference. Great product.
Yep. How many monitors are you running?
Run 3 at 164 FOV.
Nice. Do you participate in any leagues?
No, I do not. No, I do not. Just the pro series right now.
All right. How about any third-party software?
I actually use quite a bit of third party. As you know, one of NX Racing's sponsors is iAnalyze, so we use iAnalyze quite a bit. We use Mew and Motec for a little bit more fine tuning on the telemetry side of things, and I also use VRS just mainly as a backup for fuel telemetry, stuff like that, but mainly those 4 products.
All right. Then you mentioned that you're part of NX. You want to elaborate on that any?
Yeah, part of NX Racing. Been around since the inception, one of the original members, and I think it's been 6 years we've been together now, so we've been around for a long time.
And of course, you're teamed up over there with PJ and Jake Sturgis and a couple other well-known names. So, good group of guys you got over there.
Yeah, great guys, really talented guys too.
No doubt about that. How about your most memorable iRacing moment?
Well, that's a tough one. I would probably say, let me break it down to 2. Most memorable, not my best moment, but was back in Bristol 2010 DWC. We kind of got some damage in an incident. I decided to stay out and totally destroyed Dale Earnhardt Jr. in about half the field. And then second was just recently racing against Taylor Hurst at Sonoma. Taylor's really good there, and we had some of the best racing I've ever had in the NIS series back there a few months back. I think it was about 3, 4, 5 months back, but still just sticks in my memory as the most recent iRacing moment that I've had. That's been a big plus.
Wreck Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's going to be something that you're going to live with for the rest of your life.
It was pretty bad.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. You're welcome to chime in on any other topics for the rest of the evening if you so wish to do so.
Definitely.
All right. Next up, we are going to discuss the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. event at Atlanta Motor Speedway held this past Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Going over my results, I started 7th. I finished 19th in the bottom split of the race. I had an awesome setup. I did have 4 teammates in the race with me. 2 of them ended up finishing in the top 5. We all ran the same setup, so just unfortunate getting caught up with some of the guys that drive a little over their head when they, I think I was lap 27 and I was wrecked out of the race. So, Brad, did you run that at all?
I didn't.
All right, what about you, Jeff? I know you did.
Yeah, we finished 5th. Scott finished 2nd in front of me, and of course David finished 17th. And like you said, you finished 26th. You and David both got caught up in earlier wrecks. It just too many people driving over top of their head, and the track just felt like ice too. On top of that.
Yeah, and then I noticed also the dirt buildup on the windshields. A lot of people were complaining about not being able to see there after a while. Some of them longer runs we were having. What about you, Nolan? Let's talk about that pro race you had.
Yeah, top split, pretty much my average starting position, 25th. Which I don't know what we're doing this year in qualifying. I've just been off the ball on qualifying all season. But yeah, started 25th, stayed out in an early caution, got some track position. Then we had some long runs at the end, so we kind of had a chance to shine a little bit. Rotations came around. I think we were 8th. We ended up finishing the race in 7th when it was all said and done. We were on a little bit different strategy. We one stopped the end. It was an 80-lap run. Most of the field did the 2-stopper, but yeah, worked out okay. I think we broke even on strategy. So another 7th place haul. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, 7th place and top split is definitely nothing to shake your stick at. That's definitely a good achievement there. Now you're actually running to get your pro license, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, I'm trying. Yeah, trying to. Yeah, I think with drops factored in, we're 5th overall right now. Surprisingly, that 7th place finish is going to be our worst non-dropped event of the season. So, yeah, I've been pretty happy with the performance of the car this year. PJ Jake Star just really helping out a lot. Um, Phil Diaz has been helping out a lot. Joe Letterella has been helping out. Everybody's really been putting in the effort to have good cars. So, yeah, I think we're in a good position going into this. I guess you could call it a half. It's really not, but you have 2 basically totally different formats from the beginning of the season to the end. But just one more race at Darlington, and if we can at least score some good points there, I think we'll have the opportunity to maybe go for some wins in the final 3.
Yeah, this Tuesday night coming up is going to be a tough factor here. It's a really tough track for a lot of people to be able to stay on without eating the wall all the time. So I guess that's why they call it the Darlington Strike. So we'll see how we all pan out there, right?
Yeah, it's a different strategy to a lot of other tracks, like Atlanta, for example. I don't think you can drive quite as aggressive from the start at Darlington. It's just really not worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those you got to really find your rhythm and pace yourself to stay off that wall.
Definitely, and track position is pretty big at Darlington too. So a lot of pressure in Q. That's the last thing I need, but yeah, a lot of pressure in Q to do well there.
Yep, and them guys that I don't know if it's going to be like that in the pro race, but I remember during the NIS season, guys were trying to use the apron to make passes and stuff and causing all sorts of mayhem. So hopefully it's a little bit cleaner. I know that for myself, for the most part, in the bottom splits, it's been kind of cleaner than NIS racing, but then again, these past couple weeks, there have been a lot of guys that are driving over their heads, so we'll see how it works out. All right, next up, we're going to talk about a forum post made by our guest we had on the show last week, John Hammer. He put up some polls for, I guess it was under the NASCAR iRacing series on the forums, and different topics such as quantities of cars and splits, tire limits per race, and the length of races. And people were voting on them, and he was gathering the results, and he's going to send an official email into Tony Gardner for consideration to hopefully get some changes to to the program in the NIS season. Results of it looks like the majority voted for 40 or more cars in the splits. They want tire limits in the races, and they want it to stay basically the same, 50% mixed with full length. So we'll see what happens. What are your guys' opinions?
I like it. I think if you're going to sit there and do all this stuff to make what we do as realistic as possible, then make it as realistic as possible and go up to 40 cars like the real Cup guys.
Yeah, I think going up to 40 cars really with the dynamic track being kind of introduced the way it is, and it's getting much better and better and better all the time. That it's kind of essential to really let the dynamic track show.
I think the tire limit is a very, very good thing.
No,
No,
not
more
for
running-
here. Just because the
Yeah.
tire model's so broken. Yeah, well, some parts of it are. It's just, I don't think it'll work out. Tire limits. You'll have people staying on a 50 lamp old tires.
I know Nolan and I were talking earlier this afternoon about that, the tire model. You want to elaborate on that a little, Nolan?
Well, I kind of agree with Carlos. Unfortunately, number one, it's not feasible in the software as the software currently stands. Secondly, in my opinion, you've got enough for the driver to do as it is, as opposed to, now every pit stop you have to go through a list of scuffed tires and pick the scuffed tire of your choice. How much data are you going to get on each scuffed tire? Number two, the way the tire model works, it's a little bit too aggressive in terms of that early run fall off, in my opinion. In real life, you can stay out on 5, 6 lap old tires. It's not going to kill you. In this game, you're going to be 2 and 3/10 a lap faster the entire run. And then it brings in too much situational, things outside of your control to really what dictates race wins. So I'm pretty anti, tire limit. I know a lot of people like it, but that's kind of my big complaints on it, especially the situational aspect of it. There's just too many outcomes that are totally outside of the driver's control. And the way we run races isn't like, real life. It just isn't. I mean, look at Pro Series. We're caution riddled the first half of the races. It's not like that. And in most cases, it's exactly the opposite. So I don't know. It's going to be hard to make it work in iRacing, I think.
I say, if anything, only for Truck Series. If they were to create a full schedule for that.
Well, and that's another thing is they could always test it out on a lower series to see what it would do, and then maybe implement it later on. Personally, I think if we're going to go with 40 car fields and tire limit changes, why don't we just go all out with realism and make them full length races? Make a full series dedicated to it, where every Saturday night where NIS doesn't run, there's a full length race with all realism to it.
Just call it NIS Hardcore.
Yeah, whatever they want to call it.
I like that idea, Kyle, for a Saturday night. Something like that on a Saturday night would be kind of cool.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't interfere with NIS. You can still have the NIS guys running at 6 and noon or whatever it is on Saturdays, and then 7 o'clock Saturday night Eastern, you could fire off a full length race of the week at that track.
But the tire limit thing, though, if they do it or they decide to do it, I hope they don't do it in the middle of the season. It's either do it in the beginning of the season or don't do it at all.
Yeah, it would probably come out with a build if I had to guess, anyways. I don't know, something to think about. Like I said, he's going to email the results to Tony Gardner, and we'll see what happens. It's always good to give our input to them to see how they can improve the simulator for the rest of us. So we'll see. What do we got up next, Brad?
Well, we got Chase Briscoe. He only led 2 laps of the 50-lap 2016 iRacing Pro Race of Champions. They held this at Phoenix International Raceway on Wednesday night. This was the 6th annual All-Star race for the professional race drivers. together with X Games Rallycross gold medalist and iRacing pro driver Michael DeJong, SCCA Pirelli World Champion or World Challenge competitor Michael Lewis, and former IndyCar driver Dan Clark. Chase Briscoe spent most of the sim racing chasing NASCAR star Kyle Larson. And I watched some of this, and Kyle had them covered, and Kyle ran into his bad luck just like he does in real racing. And he got wrecked by a lapped car, but Chase Briscoe took the lead with 2 laps to go and won the race. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, from the highlights I was able to catch because I ended up falling asleep that night and didn't get the race, but I saw the highlights and boy, that looked like it looked like a wreck fest for the last. I think it was the last 10 laps I was able to watch. And that's all it was just wrecked cars everywhere. It almost looked like an enduro race.
Yeah, that was a bit brutal to watch. I think the platform of the series is great. I'm not 100% sure whose idea it was to do Phoenix, in an Indy car, but I think part of that might have been due to Sam Schmidt, which that device that CXC Simulations created for him. I don't know if you guys have looked that up on Facebook, but that is just super cool. I'm sure it does a lot for Sam's morale. I mean, he actually performed quite well too. Yeah, at one point up in time, I think he was up to 8th. So it was a interesting event to watch, but a few too many crashes. I just think that's an outcome of really that combo more than anything.
Yeah, that rig that they built for him, it was amazing. I was reading about it. His breathing is what controls the throttle and brake. And I can't remember if it was his eye movement or if his head movement is what turned the car. But that to me was just amazing.
Yeah, it was. I heard a little bit about that. The in his mouth, he had to blow on a straw essentially, or bite down on it to brake. And yeah, it was really cool. And I think he did control it by moving his head left and right. And there's some videos of it. Obviously, if you want to go check it out on the iRacing YouTube page, but there's some videos of him driving around, and it looked pretty much effortless. And he drove really well.
It's always good to see that he's still trying to be involved in racing as much as he can be, so definitely awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Alright, well, moving on, the next thing is, I guess it was this evening actually, the 2016 iRacing All-Star Race was broadcasted by RaceSpot TV. They had it at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. They ran an oval race and a road race, and judging by the results, I didn't see it, but looks like it was a dominating show by both drivers. The oval side, Matt Busa started on the pole, finished on the pole, led all 40 laps. Philip Diaz came in second, Ray Alfala third, Adam Gilliland fourth, and Will Tragersa finished out the top 5 on the oval side. Martin Kroenke did run over there in the oval. He finished 9th. PJ Sturdios finished 11th. Andrew Fayash finished 14th. Alan Bowes 16th. Chris Overland 17th. Just to name some of the more known drivers on the oval side. For the road side, same thing. Pole-to-pole winner William Levesque started pole, finished pole, led all 18 laps, had the fastest lap time of the race. Philip Diaz pulled down a second place finish in that race as well. Frederick Rasmussen finished third, Martin Kroenke fourth, and PJ Sturdios rounded out the top 5. Alan Bowes 6th, Adam Gilliland 10th, Ray Alfala 11th, Matt Busa 13th, Andrew Fayash 15th, and Chris Overland finished 21st. I think that's more of the well-known names. So, did anybody here catch the races at all?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to watch both of them. There's a reason we call him Levesque. But Will, did really, really well on the road side. Phil did really well on the roadside too. They're both Phoenix Racing drivers. And then when we went to the oval side, Phil also did well again. So 2 second place finishes for him. So his charity, the Starting Over Ranch, is going to be receiving $100 because of his performance today. So that's cool. Always nice to do something for charity.
Right now, William he's actually a road driver, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
He is. He is. I was pretty pretty happy that he finished 8th on the oval side. It was a bit of a surprise, but yeah, he's primarily a road racer. Primarily drives for our endurance division, NX Racing Yellow.
All right, yeah. I was gonna say he finished 8th, still got a top 10 out of it, so that's pretty good. Now that's kind of the purpose of this race, if I'm not mistaken, where they kind of take you out of your element and put you in the other side and see how well you do, right?
Yeah, and it's always pretty exciting. I think Levesque was right at the end of the race running, I want to say 14th, 15th place, and there was a huge accident, big time NASCAR on the final lap, and somehow came up from like 15th to 8th in one lap. So it was a crazy finish. It's definitely worth a check on the iRacing YouTube page. It's another one to check out. It's a great finish.
All right, we'll definitely have to check that out later. So it looks like it was pretty dominating by the guys that led the race, but all the action was really behind them. So we'll check it out later on, and you can always check out the past broadcast on RaceSpot TV as well. Well, what do we got up next, Brad?
Oh, the thing everybody's been waiting for. In our world, is somebody whispers dirt, there's 5 people turning red. Well, they are getting the templates out. You can get your dirt late model, dirt sprint car, and dirt street stock. Get them painted and get them ready so that when it comes out, you're ready to hit the track with your paint scheme already lined up. It actually looks really cool, so get ready.
Yeah, those cars look stellar. They really do. The only one they don't have on there right now is the wingless sprint car, but I'm sure that's going to be coming out as well soon. I know Tony mentioned it in a past Twitter post.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think the paint scheme we did on our team cars for Cup and everything have looked really awesome, and our road course cars, they're just awesome too, and I really can't wait to see what we come up with this.
I just can't wait for dirt. Period. It's gonna be so much fun.
It also looks like they're running a special for if you sign up with a new membership, you get 50% off all their options. 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, or 2 years. So if you are looking to get into iRacing for dirt, then now's the time to sign up. 50% off. You're not going to see too many of those deals coming around anymore. So definitely take your chance. I mean, your regular 1 month is $13. You can get signed up for as little as $6.50. So if you're listening to this, you're not a member of iRacing, and you're thinking about it, now's the time.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
That's a great deal, and I think just in regards to dirt itself, I think that's going to be the biggest game changer for iRacing since pretty much the service came out. I mean, we're going to have a huge influx of customers. There's going to be a lot of racers online, and I'm really excited about that. That's really I like to see market saturation more than anything, and I think we're going to be hugely saturated in the first couple months of the release for sure.
Well, I hope you're right.
Yeah, I really hope that since they've been talking about it for quite a while, and they were probably working on it before they ever said anything about it, I hope they're really taking their time and getting all their T's crossed and their I's dotted to where that when this comes out, it's not all to pieces.
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
We've had builds like that.
yeah, well, if I'm not mistaken, that's why they decided not to push it out in this build was because they weren't quite ready. All the cars and all the content are ready, but it's the build itself. If I'm not mistaken, it isn't quite ready, and they don't want to release something prematurely, so we'll wait.
Yeah, I think they've got a few more things to polish off on the dynamic track side of things, which I think they knew was going to be the most difficult part to get right in the very beginning. That and the tire model itself to give it that deformation it really needs, or at least the illusion thereof. So, um, it's a big under. I'm surprised they're getting it done as quickly as they are. I did not think we would be, going into the holiday season thinking, well, we're really close on dirt. I thought we'd be looking mid 2017 to end of 2017, but it looks like we're going to get it long before then.
Well, even if they wait till March to release it, it's basically a year because it was tweeted out on April Fool's Day, April 1, 2016, about dirt, and here we are almost a year later, 9 months later, and it's almost in our laps. So definitely kudos to them for putting a lot of attention to this and all the hard work they've done to do it. All right, next up was a forum post made by Tyler Sassine. He says, anyone else notice backfires sometimes missing from the replays? I see them on other cars in session, but so far I only see them on the V8 SC in replays, not even the MP412C. Jeff Rubin, staff member, did comment back on the thread. Said there is a known issue causing backfires and other particles to not show up sometimes, and that there will be a fix included in the next build. It looks like there was also another post made somewhere else in the forums under problem reporting for the same issue, and a lot of people were commenting on that thread as well. So he did answer a few people on different forum threads. So guess that'll be fixed in the next build, and kudos to iRacing for following the forums to help get some of these things resolved.
Yeah, it seems like with this last build in general, they've had quite a few bugs kind of come out of the woodworks, and they're definitely aware of them and on the ball getting them fixed. It seems like this time.
Well, at least this time they're kind of smaller little things,
Oh, definitely.
All right, iRacing came down for maintenance on the 13th. Looks like they announced pre-ordering available for the Audi R8 LMS, the Mercedes AMG GT3, and the Renault 2.0. The new global Mazda MX-5 car will also be available, but since it's a free car, there's no need to pre-order it. If you want to access it during the maintenance period, which is already over with, it can automatically be available to download. And that's about it for the maintenance period. What's up next, Brad?
A driving simulator, a rig. It's up in Indy, and it costs you right at $12,000 a day to drive. It's got a 180-degree view. You can use different pedals. They set it up to where it's like different cars. And the video we've got of it is phenomenal, to be honest with you. It would be really cool to have something like this, but I guess you'd have to be a millionaire and buy the daggone thing, because you wouldn't want to rent it.
Right. I did notice that Jack Davidson, who's the iRacing staff member, did comment on the thread. He said those art assets are for Indianapolis, are actually from us, meaning iRacing, and that Steve and him tried to stop by Delara and see it when they were in Indy earlier this year, but it was occupied. So even they tried to test it out.
Shut down.
That's a lot of money.
It is cool, though.
Yeah, definitely neat.
Yeah, I've yet to have a look at that, but for $12,000 a day, I doubt it better be really neat. That's pretty pricey.
Yeah, you think? You'd think that they'd lower the cost on it so that you can get more people in it.
Yeah, it's a unique business strategy for sure.
Yep. All right, next up, we're going to talk Formula E. And there's $1 million on the line for a sim racing showdown in Vegas.
Getting anything until you start.
Nolan, do you got anything that you can discuss on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. We've got our very own Alexia Loma going to the event. He qualified in to the last position, so super pumped about that. But no, we got him in there. We've got everything ready for him this week. We got jerseys out. We got the fanfare hat out. So there's going to be a lot of PR events up there, and it's going to be run just like a professional racing series. I mean, they do a practice, they come back, they give a little press conference, and yeah, I think it's an awesome event. Plus, a lot of money on the line, $200,000, I think, to the winner. $20,000 even to make the show. So even if you did qualify, that's a pretty decent sim racing payday. But like I said, R Factor, a pretty decent mod, I guess you could say. Not the best looking ever, but the money's there, so it drew a lot of people in, and not very many people made it to the big show. That's for sure.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
A lot of money.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that I think. I mean, I don't think there's anybody here that wouldn't want to see that in iRacing, but I think those are the big one-off events that really draw a lot of attention. And I think there's more people watching this than probably any other sim racing event ever. So I think that's super interesting for the sport on a whole.
Right. I agree with you. That is unbelievably cool.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about William Byron and how he started off in his bedroom on iRacing, and now he's a 7-time winner in the NASCAR Truck Series, and he just finished up his contract, I guess you could say, with Kyle Busch Motorsports over there running the Truck Series, and he's set to start this season off at Hendrick Motorsports, driving an Xfinity ride for Hendrick this year. So that's a pretty exciting adventure, and to think it all started on an iRacing sim.
The thing about this kid is he's actually really good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
7
say.
wins. Yeah, 7 wins, 15 top fives, 3 poles in his rookie season in the Camping World Truck Series. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's a record.
I was,
So,
I was going to say something like, regardless of iRacing, I think he just had talent and he got noticed and got put in a good ride.
Not to mention, above all, he almost won the title in his rookie year.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of unfortunate things there at the end of the season is what really took him out of it. But if he could have carried that momentum all the way to the end, which he actually did, even after he got wrecked out and it bumped him out of the point standings, he still ran strong all the way to the end.
See, Byron used to race late models at South Boston for Junior Motorsports back in 2015. So I've watched William race at South Boston Speedway now for about last year, or I guess 2 years ago. I guess he's got talent. He knows where to put the car. He knows how to take care of his car, and he's had good equipment ever since he started. And Junior, I think, was the first one that gave him a ride.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. He, you start out driving for KBM, you're in top equipment, but he is a very good driver. I mean, you can just, it's like Chase Elliott. You can watch Chase Elliott during a race and know dude's got talent. It doesn't have to be the fastest car in the world, even though he has a fast car. Byron had a fast truck, but they didn't do the stupid stuff that takes rookies out. So,
Yeah, I think Chase had a almost somewhat underappreciated first rookie season in the top series. But junior motorsports in general just seems to have this really uncanny ability to kind of pick up young, strong drivers for the lower series. And I think that's definitely been their strong suit as a team, really, to be honest. I mean, they've picked up a lot. I mean, even Josh Berry, not, over the top fast, but really solid driver. And if it wasn't for iRacing, I don't think we'd be talking about Josh Berry. You know what I mean? In that setting, I don't think he would have had that opportunity, but he's had that opportunity. He's performed quite well.
Yeah, I agree. And I saw an interview. I don't know where it was from. I think it was on TV, and they were interviewing Junior, and he said he would love to put Josh Berry in a Busch car again, or more often, but he couldn't come up with sponsorship.
Yeah, and speaking of sponsors, Liberty University sponsored Williams' late model, and then they went on to the truck series with Williams. I think that's pretty cool. You've got a small town university that's now getting national coverage and states with their driver.
Yeah, and he attends that school as a freshman this year.
Yeah.
He's going to be making some waves more than what he's making right now. I guarantee that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take him very long to be in that top level ride. It's just a matter of what ride's going to open up at the right time for him.
Yep.
Wouldn't mind seeing him jump up into one of the Hendrick Motorsports rides myself, but being a Hendricks fan, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
What I want to see is Ryan Blaney improve, get a better ride to that 21, and, make it really improve.
There's a lot of young talent down there right now that's itching to get up there, but it's just not the right time yet.
Same with Chris Buescher. I really hoped that he would have got a stronger ride this year, but his time will come eventually.
Yeah, I don't watch NASCAR religiously anymore, but it seems to be this trend of there's just a lot of drivers in the sport that their time's come and gone, but the big teams don't really want to see them go. And I'm assuming that's because of the sponsorships and everything else, but it seems to be a problem on a whole to me in NASCAR that, you don't see in, well, I guess you do see it in Formula One, but not to the extreme you see it in NASCAR, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say this time of the, now with all this young talent, they kind of made a mistake dropping down to 40 cars because there's 3 extra cars that could have been filled with younger drivers. But, the reason why they got rid of the 43 is they were all starting park cars.
I think we're going to see a huge influx here. I think within the next 5 years, you're going to have a ton of these guys retiring. You got, Tony Stewart retired this year. You got other guys that are up there in age, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle. Some of these bigger names are going to start falling off here real soon, and these young guys are going to be sitting there nipping at the heels waiting to get into those rides. So all they got to do is just keep logging laps down in them lower series, and they should have some really good equipment to get into here in the next few years.
Where is Biffle going?
I don't know.
I thought I saw that where he was going, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I do know that he is leaving this year.
Yeah, well, Roush is going down to only 2 cars. They're going to have Bain and Stenhouse. But the last time I checked was last week, about middle of the week, and it still didn't have Biffle penciled in anywhere on the thing that I was reading.
Yeah, he spent 19 years, I think it was Roush Fenway, and they came to a mutual agreement to split ways. So we'll see.
My question is what is the thought process there of keeping Trevor, Mr. Bain? I mean, what is the strategy there behind that, and why is he still in a Cup car? Honestly, he wins the Daytona 500 one time. He's done absolutely nothing even above average his entire career, and I just don't understand that direction and driver change personally.
That's why I say take a switch, then put Bain and whatever Chris Buescher's going to and switch on that way. Maybe he'll start to show what he's got. Not Bain, the Buescher.
We could ask that question about a lot of teams. Why does
Oh,
Hendrick hang on to Casey Kane?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Casey Kane is kind of my quintessential example in that matter.
I think that you take Casey Kane out of that ride, put AJ Allmendinger in there, or if we could have scooped up Truex before he got into that ride he's in now, I mean, that's a dominating team.
Yeah, you don't come out of that ride now. and they're actually going to a 2-car team next year, which it should give them a little better data.
I'll tell you one thing, if that doesn't scare people in the NASCAR series, it's going to. Because that kid's got some talent that I don't think he's even shown yet.
What about the drivers that are doing what the Road to 2017 or something like that, like with Ty Majeski and all them? Are they already signed for the big series, or are they just waiting for a spot in line?
That I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I know Ty got signed by, I can't remember who signed him, but he got signed and he's doing the development program. But I don't know if he signed to drive like past Kane in or just Kane in. I think there's what 10 or 12 of the guys they're signed
Well,
as development drivers.
Yeah, he got signed to Roush Fenway. I don't see them taking him and putting him in Biffle's ride, if that's what you're getting at.
No, not at all. What I'm just getting at is you got your Winston Cup drivers, and now you've got drivers that are already signed as development drivers that hope to one day get into the Cup cars, and yet you still got so much talent in your local home short tracks that are trying to get up there. This is going to end up being a bottleneck. You know, it's just going to get crazy with all the talent and just looking for rides.
Yeah, I guess it's part of the nature of the beast of motorsports in general. Money talks at the end of the day. That's what it always boils down to. I don't think I think we're nearing the end of the period of people who just make it on pure talent. I think that's gone. And it's kind of sad, but it just is the way it is. It's the way motorsports has evolved over the years.
Yeah, but you've also got to have both. I mean, just because you got a lot of money, yeah, you can go out there and race, but it'll cost you a lot. And if you don't do good, you can still race, but you still ain't going to do good.
Reminds me of Tom Cruise and IMSA.
Right.
Reminds me of Trevor Bayne.
Oh,
Too
yeah.
far, too soon.
There's a lot of guys out there. I mean, a guy that I run with kind of regularly in iRacing, Matt DiBenedetto, he just signed a deal to run an Xfinity car, I believe, last week?
Matt?
Yep, he's not racing Cup this year.
He just signed a deal to run with Go Fast Racing. Him and David Reagan both left their team and they were on at BK Racing, and he signed a deal with Go Fast Racing. So,
Wow, that's impressive.
You know, he was one of the biggest surprises I've ever seen finishing, what was it, 6th at Bristol? That one race?
I mean, he's got some talent too.
Yeah, he just does not have the rides.
Yep, he's one of them quiet ones that just can't get that ride he needs.
Yep,
He's a
I
super
agree.
nice guy too.
He's awesome to race with on iRacing. I love it.
Yeah, he's a cool cat.
So we'll definitely keep posting, and we'll always cover stories of iRacing sim drivers make it into the big leagues. It's always definitely a good thing to see. We're all hopeful someday to get there. What do we got next, Brad?
They've got a fix here for the Club Sport pedals. I've been looking at it and I'm not really sure exactly what it does, but your Club Sport V3 brakes.
The brake kit.
Yeah, it's a brake kit. It's only $29. I think I've got the V2s though, so it probably won't work.
Well, Noah, you have those pedals. Do you know exactly what that's fixing? Obviously, you've run with them.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's for an error if it's the product I believe you're talking about, the braking kit, with the red and the green essentially
that's what
the
it
old,
is.
Yeah, the old system was a piece of PU foam, and they went to these. I'm not sure what they're actually physically made out of, but they appear to me to be some kind of plastic resin. Anyway, it's changing the density of the pad that actually rests against the load cell inside the brake. So, red's the hardest, so that gives you the hardest feel on the brake pad surface, whereas green's softer, etc. So I think it's more of a feel thing. I think there's actually a grid on their website that will break down what combination of what pieces of foam that you put into your brake cylinder will do for your brake pedal feel.
It's
So
kind
cool
of a
product, cool Christmas present at $29.
it's a if I had to guess, it's going to be some sort of damper kit. For my MPPC pedals, I can do the same deal where I have the red or the black things that I can interchange to adjust how hard or soft I want the brake pedal. So to me, it looks like it's the same type of deal for those specific pedals.
Yeah, it does. And I have the damper kit on the V3s, and not wanting to give a review of the V3 pedals, but not a big proponent of the damper kit, but definitely I could see where that addition would come in handy, because essentially my goal with these pedals is to make the brake as hard as I possibly can. And I've got it completely maxed out. So that may be on my Christmas list. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So we'll see. It looks like it could be a good addition to your V3 pedals if you suffer from the same problem I have, which is a solid pedal.
All right. Well, if you do pick them up, let us know, and maybe we'll bring you on to discuss that later on in the future.
Definitely.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the dirt on the windshields of the cars. After the build, Michael Peters put up a forum saying dirt grime buildup has been great since it was first introduced. Now I just see blocky bunches of pixels that seem to all appear at the same time and never really get worse. I know that we were just talking about this earlier. I know I made a comment at Atlanta. It was rough. It just appeared out of nowhere, and a lot of people were complaining they can't really see stuff. I don't think it was really that bad, but it is definitely distracting.
That explains the race earlier then.
Yep. Greg Hill from iRacing staff did say that this is not the intended appearance, so something's going wrong and they'll look into it. Somebody said, I noticed the same at Le Mans. No start grid finish line, and the on-track arrows before the Porsche curves are gone as well. The last one caught me by surprise as I used them as positioning and braking reference. And Greg Hill replied to that as well, saying a bug was introduced that affects the TSD graphics, as we call them. Basically details that are stamped out of the tracks as details, starting grid, start finish lines, etc. A fix for this issue is in the works. So I know we had planned on talking about that later on in the show, but might as well cover it now. It's a known issue that the start finish lines are not showing up at tracks, so there's obviously a fix in the works.
At least the iRacing staff has already come out and said that it's a problem and that they're going to fix it. So
Yeah, they seem to be really responsive to issues this build compared to previous ones.
You know what's funny though? I've raced a few races already, and I didn't even notice.
I'm not one to pay attention to like the start finish line or anything like that. I don't ever look at the track for that. I always just kind of look for the flag stand there when I'm coming to the last lap to know I got across it. I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out in a race. I ran a C fixed race at Talladega 2 nights ago, I think it was, and I didn't notice it in practice, but somebody pointed it out in the race. So.
That's how it was in Camel GT too. I mean, that one was noticeable though.
Yeah. All right, Brad, you want to pull up that last topic there for the night?
Oh goodness, let's see here. iRacing is doing the Roar before the 24, 2.4 hour solo event, January 13th through the 15th. More details to follow with the race times. That'll be a pretty good little deal. Get
Yep,
you
it's
some
good.
practice in before you do the 24 hours.
Yeah, and it's going to be a solo event too. So they released the times. It's going to be 4 time slots to run it. Saturday, well, actually, it'll be Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern, Saturday, 12 noon Eastern, and Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And they're running the Kia Optima, the Ford Mustang, and the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. So weird, they don't have the HPD or the prototype in there, so I wonder if they're going to have them in for the actual 24-hour Daytona race.
They will.
Yeah,
This one's always been different.
They've already done the little thing with that.
This makes no sense to call it the Roar before the 24. It should be its own separate event.
Well, I guess we'll see.
So what is it? The Daytona prototype again in GT3?
Yeah. They did release that they were going to run the prototype again this year, even though it's not going to be in the actual race. So.
Yeah, I have that confusing deal with DPI and then P2, which are just weird.
Yeah, didn't I see an article today about that? Some sort of uproar about it?
They're pretty much LMP2s, just with their little changes.
Yeah. Are we going to run the 24 or no? Who else is going to run the Roar? I know I am.
I
Yeah, I
will,
don't know
depending on
about that.
license level.
And we should have a few NX drivers doing it for sure. I haven't done it since the first year it was held, so it's been quite a few, about 5-6 years, but it's always been a fun event.
I know a couple years ago they ran that Roar before, and it was a team event. I know my brother had set a team up together off the forums, just gathered a bunch of drivers. They ended up winning it and got the $50 prize, and then
Yeah,
they
we did the
decided
same
not
thing.
to put a prize on the next one.
Wow.
Yeah, we ended up doing the same thing by winning that, getting $50 a piece, and ended up wrecking early in the real one.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy over that, so they decided not to put a prize on the actual race.
There's too much sandbagging going on.
Yeah, because back then you had the lowest I rated guy would qualify or start the car, and yeah, it's a lot of nonsense. But you give somebody a loophole, they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that was obviously of much debate early in the Pro Series as well this year.
There was a loophole in the Pro for that?
I wouldn't call it a loophole. There was just quite a bit of discussion on the forum about the distribution of points from split to split and the quote unquote sandbagging and whatnot that may accompany that. But I think the season as it's went on has kind of showed that that's not been that hasn't been the strategy of choice if you look at the points with drops. So it was kind of a bit of a wasted argument for the beginning of the Pro Series, but it was definitely one of great concern to a lot of Pro Series drivers this season. Yeah, because they went away
Yes.
from the iRacing or from the iRating style of doing it and actually letting everyone participate, which I think is great. I really do. Does it introduce situations that may not be fair? Maybe so, but at the same time, everybody has a chance to participate. Everybody has a chance to perform. So I'm quite content the way it is.
I have a low I rating. I have no hopes of actually making Pro, but I'm enjoying the fact that I'm able to run the same races as these guys going for Pro, because A, it's filling up my off season from NIS, and B, I get to experience the once a week like the Pro guys are.
I think it's great. And iRacing's got to do what's best for the customer base on a whole, and I think thus far it's been a pretty good success.
That's
Except
definitely
they're
been a lot
split.
of fun. Is that where you're at, Carlos?
I'm hovering between third and fourth, which is crazy because I was usually a top or second before all this Pro Series, but there's so many entries.
Yeah, you had a certain percentage of the iRacing community who buffed their iRating, and that really changed kind of the way the grids have ended up throughout the season. Really, just because so many people buff that iRating early season, but you're having so many people drop out now that like Joe and Phil and our team, they were third split mid pack third split guys in terms of iRating. Well, now they're almost mid second, so that just puts it into perspective of how much it's kind of changed throughout the season over the 5-6 races we've done.
Yeah, but if you think about that in perspective, Carlos, you have a 4,000 I rating. You would think that would be good for at least like a second split.
Oh no.
And you're sitting in fourth.
It's funny because this is actually, I think last 2 races I was third split, but this is like car number 40. So I'm way back there.
It's crazy because the NAS season, you're top split or second split.
I think I'm comfortable in third or fourth.
Yeah, it looks like just from last week's second split race, the lowest I rating was 4,400. So you're all over. No, 4,375 actually. So you're getting close.
I'll almost hit 4,200. Who knows how many times then I get involved in something, lose it all.
Well, that's the tougher part when you get higher up in I rating. You lose more.
Yeah, that's the reason why I want separate I rating per car so I can go drive other things when I'm bored and not have to worry.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to get that I rating up in the lower series, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, one of the things that kind of bothers me is like right now we're in the off season. We're not running a bunch of NIS, and that's cool and all, but I'm really seeing a lot of these the K&N cars like we're at Michigan, and the super lates. I forget where they were at, but in my mind, I'm like, man, I really want to go run those, but I don't want to beat my I rating to death in doing so. I wish they would do something about that. I don't know what they could do, but
Separate I rating per car.
Well, I did one of those. I'd never run the K&N car before, but I did one the other night, just for an example. I started the race in 8th place. I was car number 13. I ended up finishing 2 laps down and lost 44 I rating.
See, now I ran Michigan in the K&N car, 5 races, and gained 400 I rating in one night.
When I was at a 4194 I rating, I did one IndyCar race and dropped under 4,000. Lost a huge chunk.
Brutal.
Yeah,
Or
see, that's
almost
what,
lost
that's what
that
I'm
much.
talking about.
Yeah, you literally can't do anything if you want to stay high.
Yeah,
Well,
like Carlos is like what, about $4,000. I'm at 38.90. So we get beat to death if we go in one of them lower splits. And
Then again, if you do good, it's fun.
like, yeah.
But so, would you say that I rating takes the fun out of this during off-season times? It's like you don't know what to do because you're afraid to go race.
Kind of.
It's kind of like you don't want to hurt it because of the divisions, I guess, for starting next NIS.
Right.
Or something like that.
I think it makes my participation drop off. I would go run those races because right now they really look like a lot of fun, but I don't because I don't want to just get beat to death.
You could always do road racing in the off season. What I do, I don't really give a crap about that I rating.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I ran a C-Fix race the other night and finished second in car number 3 and gained 80 I rating. It was a 1754 strength of field. But had I got wrecked out of there, I would have lost like 100.
Well, from my perspective, somebody that doesn't race any other series really other than Class A Pro, I'm real hesitant to go down to those lower series because you got guys that are so good at it. Number one, you got to put in the time, but number two, you have this problem with retention and saturation of series. So if you go into a C fixed race with a 7,000 I rating, you've pretty much in most occasions need to finish in the top three.
Oh God.
I don't drive that car. I don't know that car. So for me, it's really difficult for me to jump in. I don't really care about the I rating, really. It's at a point where it is what it is. But at the same time, you got 30 people in a field, you get spun, you're going to drop 200 I rating. It's just a little bit swayed, and I think it boils down not only to just, the skill level, but the saturation of the league. You got so many series to run in. I think it's a little bit overkill, honestly. I think we got a few too many. When you go into a race, there's 30 people signed up. So now you got to finish like fifth, or you're going to lose I rating, which
Yeah, well,
sometimes can be a.
for somebody like you that's got that high I rating, you go in there, you're racing for a win more or less. That's it, because you're ideally trying to break even. When you hit the grid, you're just trying to break even.
So if you guys are scared about doing, no, I shouldn't say scared, but worried about losing your iRating, do you guys find more things to do in the hosted side of iRacing instead of the official side?
I never go hosted.
Okay.
Well, there's
I
some fun to
don't
be
race
had.
at all. I more or less don't race at all.
Yeah, if anytime I'm not on here, I'm on other games or sims.
I'm looking at my stats right now, and since the last race I ran, the iRacing Open Series at Homestead, Miami, it's still in my last 10 races results. I've ran the Pro Series at Homestead, a Legends race at Lanier, a National race at Talladega, a Pro race at Atlanta, and a C Fixed at Talladega. So I've ran 5 races since the NIS finished up.
Yeah, this is a good time to get good at CS:GO if that's your jam, and that's definitely our jam over at NX Racing. We play that a lot.
I've been meaning to play some of that.
I've been playing a lot of other PC games myself, Rust and stuff like that. So it's time to just relax, and here in about another 2-3 weeks we'll be prepping for NIS again. All right, so let's move on to final thoughts. You got anything, Brad?
Not really. Just looking forward to Christmas.
Yep, time with family. How about you, Jeff?
Not really. I mean, it seemed kind of quiet. I like to keep it that way.
Carlos?
What? Oh,
Final thoughts.
well, I guess this will be a time to talk about little videos that I do on pretty much every other week. It's not an every week thing. It's just more of a kind of like a driving school deal, but not really. Just more things iRacing really won't tell you, or different driving scenarios that aren't covered in the iRacing videos. So I just have that on my YouTube, so check that out.
Alright, and what's your YouTube again?
I always forget. Oh, it's youtube.com. Was it / something? Let me think here. Oh, Chewy55.
Alright. How about you, Noah?
I mean, looking forward to going to Darlington Pro Series. Just get out of there with some decent points. Not looking to win. Looking forward to the holiday break. We get 2 weeks off. Christmas, which is my favorite time of year, hands down. And then we go to Sonoma for the Pro Series, which is probably my favorite track on the schedule. I'm a road guy more than I am an oval guy, really, at the end of the day. So looking forward to that. And then Richmond, Daytona, into the pro season. We're getting close. It's almost time to get those licensed. So it's a pretty exciting time for me and, a lot of other guys fighting their way through.
Yeah, definitely. And nice run so far this season. And keep your head down, elbows digging, and hopefully we can see you at a pro ride this next season. Rooting you on.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be back. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, my final thoughts. I don't really have too much to say other than Darlington this week. I'm looking forward to running my pro race and putting the wheel away for the week. That's about it. And then I got heavy workload coming up for the holiday season. Of course, I haul gasoline, so I'll be busy trying to keep stations stocked for all the people that are traveling. So, other than that, I don't really have anything else. For those that are watching tonight, you can always watch the podcast live on our record. We record 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday evenings. You can catch that at www.twitch.tv/iRacers Lounge, where you can interact with us. We always like to see your input. If you have any questions, we do try to keep track of it so we can answer them live on show. Other than that, you can always send us in any questions you may have. You can reach us on Twitter at iRacers Lounge, Facebook at iRacers Lounge. You can catch our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge, and as always, our website, www.iracerslounge.com. If you want to get a hold of the team, you can get a hold of us at Team Typhosi Racing, same at Twitter, Facebook. And you can catch the podcast on any of the major hosting sites like SoundCloud, Stitcher, PodTrack, iTunes, Spreaker. And you can get us at our email address at iracerslounge@gmail.com. So until next week, take care.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge. Follow on Twitter and Facebook at iRacers Lounge and SoundCloud at iRacers Lounge. See you on the track.
When we do that.